Hello there. It is this is my makeshift throw the camera onto a setup I already had because I'm doing this kind of impromptu this morning. I know I had thought about it uh, the other day and just never got organized for it last night. So here we are. We're doing it live. Um, there we go. So this is I'm Dave, by the way, if you're new here. Um, and Mostly I play games, but this morning, normally I stream in the afternoons, but this morning or this afternoon rather, I can't. And it's my last day off before having to go back to work for a few, so I figured I would uh, sneak in a morning stream for the first time in a long, long time, probably about a year, and just see how it goes. So I'm still having breakfast. I got my tea here. I just got a bag out and and that. But while I eat my wonderful breakfast, there's no bag in that garbage can. So no, that's okay. It'll be fine. Um, but yeah, I wanted to talk about the auction house, mobile auction house returning to WoW because that is a shock. First of all, I was not expecting this to happen ever, ever again. I was certain that when they killed it back, mansion was it Mists of Pandaria or was it? I always get my order mixed up. So it was Mists followed by Draenor, right? I think it was in Warlords of Draenor they canceled the World of Warcraft companion app, and they brought it back because the mission table thing they've integrated ever since. You couldn't do mobile missions in Warlords, but you've been able to do them since Legion. Um, Legion, Battle for Azeroth, and Shadowlands. Like I have my own. Um, Sorry. Where is it now? Yeah. So I mean the companion app here. Um, Not is it exactly? I thought there was four expansions to choose from for doing like missions and checking things out. Um, yeah, Warlords is on this list, but maybe they're ditching that because it's such old content. Um, yeah, Legion is there because I know I have a mission due for Blood of Sargeras, which you can't. You can farm it from World Quest. The easiest way to do it is if you still like. I still have Order Hall resources, like 60,000 of them saved up. Um, and you need the Blood of Sargeras to make the fancy Legion mount that I make. So I do those every so often. Nope, wrong one. Um, when I'm thinking about it, just because it's an easy way to get them without a huge amount of investment, obviously, and otherwise farming them is a long, drawn out process. But it looks from the picture here like they're dropping warlords from the mission thing, which doesn't necessarily stress me out. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this looks like basically like what we have right now. Maybe these are stock photos, and if you don't, at some point, Warlords wasn't in there, or you can disable it, or if you don't have a garrison, it doesn't show up. I don't know. But it just interested me that those are. I can shut that down now on my phone. Um, but yeah, I heard about this last night while I was playing. Somebody brought it up in guild chat on Classic, actually. Well, Classic TBC. Hi. Um, Anyway, during the WoW Q&A portion of BlizzCon last year, a player asked the dev team about plans to bring the auction house to the WoW companion app. John Haidt talked a bit about some of the history of the Armory app, that's what it was, previously hosted the remote auction house feature, why it was discontinued, and expressed a desire to bring the auction house back to mobile in some form that served our goals and players' needs as much as we can. which is to say they're going to use it to drive engagement metrics. That's developer speak for serve our goals is gameplay metrics, so that they can look at the data and say to the shareholders and to the um, other people involved at a high level, look how engaged our players are. You know, 40 billion auctions were posted from the mobile app. Um, like 40% of all auction house engagement is coming through the app now. So people are taking World of Warcraft with their phone on their lunch hour, on their breaks, while they're on the bus, bathroom with them, no doubt. So that's going to be their reason for doing it ultimately, which isn't to say that it can't benefit players in some way too. But I don't know. Sorry. So let me finish the sentence there. To bring the mobile auction house back in some form that serves our goals and players' needs as much as we can, without devolving into a platform for automation and other forms of abuse. So I'm not sure how rampant that was with the first one, but with the amount of rampant abuse and automation and botting that is happening in Classic specifically, I mean, it's happening in retail too. It's just not as obvious because it's been going on for so long. At least that's my take on it. Sorry, I do have breakfast to eat here too before I get to playing. Unfortunately for you, my noise gate is up high enough. You don't hear the chewing so much. But um, cheese and bacon omelet with a little bit of hot sauce in it, if anybody's curious. Gotta have hot sauce with your omelet. Well, it depends on the omelet, but for bacon and cheese, hot sauce is the order of the day, at least for me. I guess I don't know if you can really read this if the stream quality is good enough. Make it a little bigger so you can see the text there. Anyway, so they come bearing good news. The team has been working for quite a while on an updated version of the mobile auction house we think will satisfy those goals, while hopefully addressing the avenues for abuse, considering both the ways that players interact with the AH as well as avenues in technical frameworks. Posting an article soon with more info. This version of the mobile auction house will be available not soonish, not soon, but very soon with the 9.2.7 update. I have no idea when 9.2.7 is supposed to come out. I assume it's the next major, be the next patch for Shadowlands, I think. Sorry, that tea is still not quite. Give me 1 second to just flip this over so I can check. Yeah, so the current version is 9.2.5.44908. Sorry, just don't want that. Whatever the launcher showing up online for security. Why are we not? There we go. Okay, so there is. Sounds like there's more information here. It's been some time since the H was available to mobile users, but the time has come for its return. It becomes part of the companion app, which lots of people, I'm sure, are already using. I use it just to keep track of missions because the 10-hour cycle of the long missions in Shadowlands is fine, but seeing as I work a 12-hour shift, it's really tricky for me to sit down at my computer morning and evening now. Like an appropriate distance of time apart, because I leave the house at like 6:15 to get to work, and I'm not home till like 8 o'clock at night, which basically gives me time to like have a shower and go to bed before I got to go back to work. So the remote auction house was once part of the Armory app, released in 2011 and was retired in 2018. So that would be, is that? I don't even know. I'm lost. There's been so many expansions and the years just blur together. But due to the way the app was built, there were times in which individuals would abuse the architecture, often causing a disruption to the player economy and even in some cases causing in-game latency. Okay, well, no wonder they shut it down. Whether that was intentional or not, well, if they're saying that individuals would abuse it, that basically says to me that it was intentional. Was largely due to the number of queries that could flood the auction house, resulting in strained servers as they attempted to manage the larger load, which, if we're honest, is something that TSM does a fantastic job of doing now without any help at all from the mobile app. TSM has made the auction house, especially on more populated classic servers, almost unusable, especially if you don't have TSM, which I don't. I keep telling myself I'm going to learn it. One of my goals was to learn it kind of in August before Wrath comes out, but I'm doing this instead, which is maybe not the best, for my World of Warcraft financial statement. But while there were ways that we could and often did mitigate the effect, the ongoing negative impact from those who sought to exploit the system outweighed continuing to support ongoing development. So they canned it. Bigger problem in my mind at the time, for most of that span, while the mobile auction house existed, a not insignificant percent of the population did not have a smartphone that could use the app. As we all know, do you not have phones is the battle cry of the World of Warcraft development team. Not the Warcraft development team, but certain development teams at Blizzard at least. Do you not have phones is their battle cry. I still feel bad for the guy who said that because he was not prepared. Insert Illidan reference here for what was going to happen, what he said, and the reality is that it made it a very unfair playing field at the time, in the same way that TSM does now, for people who don't or can't or won't use it for whatever reason. I'm not opposed to using it. I just am lazy. And I know once you have it set up that it will make me able to be even more lazy. But in the meantime, the amount of sort of mental effort it takes to kind of learn and organize has been kind of the barrier to entry to me, as it has been, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what the solution is there. I mean, if they were gonna ban TSM or if they were gonna break it, they needed to do so years ago, right? We're on version 4 of Trade Skill Master now, and if they were gonna break it, they should have done it sometime between like before TSM 2 got retired at least. Because by now it's become such an ingrained part of so many players' experiences that they would probably quit the game if TSM was intentionally broken. But it makes the playing field extremely uneven for anybody who's trying to pay for their next subscription with the WoW token. But in light of the change, we moved to the development of the current WoW companion app, which provides a more secure experience, more in line with the types of activities your character takes on when you log in to play the game today. In other words, engagement metrics. Which again, whatever. But it just makes me nervous that they're bringing the auction house back at a time when I don't know if they're doing a mission table style thing at all in Dragonflight. I'm torn. I kind of hope they don't. Same time, it's one of the easiest and more passive ways that I have to make gold, aside from just farming and selling stuff. Because again, without TSM, like TSM does so much heavy lifting as far as calculating what it's worth making and all that stuff. So okay, framing the app for modern times as I take another bite of omelet. So good. Okay, in a previous Engineer's Workshop, which I have not read or explored at all, covered the development of the companion app, creating a system simultaneously for mobile and PC. The biggest hurdle, implementing new features, was structuring the necessary framework to support the feature. Many of these things have been written over the 17-year history of WoW, during a time when mobile was not a consideration. Fair enough. This leads to additional work to modernize systems to support both the PC and mobile experience. In addition, data delivery methods and restrictions look different on PC and mobile. Extra care must be taken to minimize what is sent to mobile to limit what the player needs to download. Fair enough. For features large as the auction house, there were and are many additional frameworks that need to be carefully modernized. Yeah. Even item icons, is a huge amount of stuff to download, as it is when you boot up the companion app for the first time. I recently upgraded my phone, and so when I went to open the companion app again, I had to download 300 megabytes of of information in order to be able to download all the features for all of the different missions in the different expansions, which when you're on a Wi-Fi connection isn't such a big deal. But if you're over any kind of metered connection, even if it's your home Wi-Fi and you're in the States and it's metered or whatnot, then you are in big trouble. Because sometimes you have to update the app even, and you have to do all that downloading again, even though you did it. But when they update the app, you got to do all the downloading again, and it gets ridiculous. In the end, we determined that we wanted to create something that would still be useful to casual and mid-core players. That's an interesting term. Not sure how I feel about mid-core players who use the auction house regularly for more common purchases, such as dungeon and raid prep, or looking out for additional items for their collections, right? The original remote auction house was never meant to be a go-to tool for hardcore traders. In many cases, these users were already using other add-ons or external tools. Please read TSM. I mean, Auctionator and those kinds of things were also. TSM is the big one, especially with the auction house update that they did. Maximize their trades beyond what the app could provide. Keeping this in mind, the new app provides a way for players to make purchases, view listings, and more. To our desire to provide an auction house experience in a more immediate time frame, we've excluded listing items for sale. Okay, thank goodness. Because the biggest complaint that a lot of people had about the previous auction house app was that you could post items for a shorter duration than you could on the actual auction house in the game. So on the app, you could post for only 6 hours, whereas in the game at the time, the shortest time frame you could post for was 12 hours. So it allowed people who were posting multiple items and undercutting one another to be able to do that easier and faster, and to have, in many cases, a lower posting cost, because the posting cost is based on the amount of time that you list them for. So that is a change that I am 100% in favor of, so long as they keep it that way. I'm not convinced they will, but we can pray. Perfect. Okay, so what can you do other than enjoy your delicious omelet, Dave? So you can browse the current auctions listed on the auction house. That seems to be to me like the most basic thing. If you can't see them, then you can't do the second thing, which is bid and buy out on auctions. Search for auctions. Add and remove items from your favorites list. There's a favorites list. Clearly, I need to look a little more closely at the thing. And view and cancel your listed auctions. Okay, well that's fair enough. So you can do cancel scans, but you can't repost. I mean, it's not a whatever. Cancel scanning is like the bane of the auction house in the game. It just messes things up. That's what you can do. I'm going to take another bite, and then we'll scroll down and see what they're giving us for an example here. Well, that's interesting. Um, I don't know if this is a mock-up or if this is like the work, like an actual screenshot of the work in testing. It looks polished enough that it could be an actual screenshot. Um, I guess that's how you favorite items. So you can see all the listings, which are of course identical because you don't need to undercut anymore. Whoops. Which is fine, I suppose. So there's a bid and the buyout price. Oh, and then there's some right. There's some that are higher. Oh, and then it actually shows you the total amount of gold you have in the game, which is that's kind of similar to what my bank alt has. Um, anyway, so okay, here we go. So buy, search for. It's kind of the same menu, but refined for mobile, where you have weapons, one-handed, pick. There's two-handed range, and I'm assuming if you scroll down, you get more. Um, and of course, you can never buy Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker um, on the auction house. It looks like it's hard to see, but it looks like there's like underneath here. Well, you can't see my mouse. Why can you not see my mouse on the screen? But underneath where it says Thunder Fury, it looks like the word search is kind of faded out underneath. So people have like typed that in. I'm guessing the middle button there between search and the X, red X, is maybe a way to bring up your list or bring up the keyboard. And then, really? You have 580 copies of a steamy romance novel. That does not sound right to me. But nonetheless, that one's starred, and you can buy it, and it shows the. Oh, that one's listed for. Oh, that's how many are listed at that price. So maybe that's 101 of them available. They stack, do they? What do I know? Um. Anyway, and then why is this one? Oh, because right, because if you're clicking buyout, they want you to have a confirmation window. Make sure you actually want to spend that money on doing that, like on buying that thing. Makes sense. And you can check your favorited items, which again, I did not know was even a thing. Maybe that's something they're going to be adding that they haven't added yet. But wow, potions are. I don't even know. Veiled augment rune. Okay, I know what that is. I was going to say all these potions. Um, veiled augment runes, which are not really worth. Oh, want to know how much Reigns of the Swift Spectral Tiger goes for? Come on. um, veiled augment runes. So yeah, those are the kind of the raid consumables that you could want to pick up if you're sitting on the bus on your way home from work, and it's raid night, and you realize you didn't buy stuff. So that's going to mess with being able to buy stuff on mobile like this is going to mess with a little bit of people's um, routines for setting auctions, because a lot of people will wait to post their auctions for raid consumables until 5, 6, 6:30, 6:45 server time, so that people who are in a rush, right, the prices will always go up when demand goes up because the cheaper ones will get bought out quickly. But so then you can actually post for higher costs and still be pretty sure you're going to sell your stuff. But if people are able to buy, if they decide they remember at their lunch hour, right? They remember at their 3 o'clock break that they haven't bought their consumes for raid tonight, then they can do that more spread out, which will kind of impact the price fluctuations, which is almost a good thing. Just it's a good thing for consumers, right? Because then instead of being able to take advantage of people who are in a rush, people who forgot, it'll kind of even out some of that price fluctuation, which again, good for consumers, not good if you are trying to amass 6 trillion, 6 million gold in the game. Right. So can be bought and sold in the auction house. Okay, so you can tap on it to get the have the ability to pull all of the icons and all of the text from all of the items in the entire game. But that's not to say that it will preload all of that onto your phone or tablet or whatever, but it does mean that it will have the ability to pull that information from the servers if you need it, which is also kind of wild. Okay, I'm almost done my omelet here. My tea is half gone. As with the introduction of cross-faction development in the 9.2 update, we want to start off slowly. This allows us to assess how players use the app, assess the impact and risk vectors, then introduce more as it makes sense and fits within our development structure. Hope this new addition to the companion app enhances your time in Azeroth, and look forward to your ensuing engagement feedback. So the what next thing here, what that really says to me is you can't post auctions now, but if we find a way that you can do it without making the system super laggy, then we will get that going for you. That's what I understand from it. Maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic, but that's kind of in fitting with what, again, if this drives engagement, being able to post your auctions will really drive engagement. Even if they do add the ability to post auctions, I can live with that so long as it works outside of the framework of something like TSM. Because the next logical, because it's a technology war, right? The same thing with hacking, the same thing with bots, the same thing with anti-cheat in first-person shooter games and whatever. It's always an escalation of technology, and the individuals with vested interest in kind of overcoming the system are always going to be a half a step, or maybe even only a quarter a step, but they're going to be somewhat ahead of the curve when it comes to implementing features that will. So companion app, having an auction house which you can buy from is fine. Some people with TSM will choose not to use it because then the things that they purchase won't show up in the TSM purchase panel, which will affect how it figures out crafted values and if it's worth crafting things or vendoring them or disenchanting them or whatever. So some people will forego the convenience of being able to buy stuff anywhere because the trade-off is having the ability to crunch your numbers or have TSM crunch your numbers for you, which is fine. But I can see fellows, not to say that they aren't good people, fellows who build TSM and maintain TSM and keep it something that is on the cutting edge of gold making strategy in World of Warcraft. As soon as they saw this, they said to themselves, "This is our time. It's time to build a TSM mobile app that will allow you to consolidate all your information from one PC to another." Because I'm pretty sure there's already a TSM desktop app. Maybe I'm wrong, because I don't really know that much about TSM. But if there isn't, I'm shocked. I totally expect there to be a TSM desktop application that you can run on your computer so you can check stuff without even booting up the game. Check your history, check your gold, whatever. Maybe it even works because there's syncing things between your desktop and your laptop and whatever. So I would be shocked if if the wheels aren't spinning and they're trying to figure out how can we get a TSM companion app to integrate with the companion app, the auction house there, to integrate it with the TSM add-on with the desktop application and all of that stuff, so that when I'm going to say, I'm calling it now, not if, but when they enable you to post auctions from the mobile page, then TSM was going to have an app. I practically guarantee it, and I think it will. I think it will do very well. It will raise the profile of TSM. It will make the add-on even more popular. It will mess with the economy even more than TSM already does. and there's not much we can do about it. So there it is. There you have it. There's my opinions on the mobile auction house and its triumphant, if you want to call it that, return. Lots of people will be excited about this. Some people will be cautiously optimistic, and there will be some people like myself who are maybe not quite doomsayers, but pragmatists, because I just know what I expect. Having seen what I've seen so far, I just expect a certain amount of that to continue, and I don't know. Is it going to be a good thing for engagement metrics? Oh boy, you betcha. Is it going to be a good thing um, for those who are power users who are already using TSM? I'm not one of them, so it's hard for me to say. I think it will have some niche use. It will definitely be a boon to the rank and file of raiders and even Mythic Plus groups that that plow through Mythic Plus runs on a weekday night instead of having a 3-hour raid group for whatever reason. It will benefit those not casual players, but those, what do they call them, mid-core players, right? Who are invested in the game, but who aren't power auction users. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. 9.2.7 is not going to be here for a little while yet, because we're still on 9.2.5. So 9.2.6 is going to be the next patch released. So 9.2.7 is one farther back in the pipeline. Not to say that it couldn't come out. Like Dragonflight is supposed to launch before January 1st or before December 31st of this year. So 9.2.7 should be out probably sometime in November, if not a little sooner, depending. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's all I have to say about that. So I will end my semi-rant there. I will switch over to the game and eat my last couple of bites of breakfast here, and I will probably clip that for YouTube on the off chance that somebody finds somebody finds my random opinions of interest. But for the sake of YouTube, bless you guys. Take care. I will continue streaming, but thanks all for the time. And if you are joining on YouTube, feel free to throw in your opinions, to argue with me about whether or not TSM has a desktop app. Tell me I'm a noob for not knowing anything more than I do about TSM or not using it. But yeah, thanks again, and bless you guys. Stay safe out there.